Hello once again, my name is Negative Legend, and I'm here to answer the question, what happened to Megaman Battle Network?
Megaman.
In 2001, Capcom released a new Mega Man game on the Game Boy Advance that would spark debate amongst fans. The game is known as Megaman Battle Network, or Rockman.exe, as is known in Japan. Diverging from its original concept, Mega Man Battle Network has all the similar themes of any other Mega Man game, except Mega Man is a computer program inside a virtual world, instead of being a robot. The fans of Mega Man were first uneasy about this change in concept, being so used to Mega Man being a robot, but it would eventually be heralded as Capcom's greatest creations in the Mega Man franchise. The most notable alteration to the gameplay was the combat system. Instead of pointing and shooting like the original Mega Man games, Battle Network decided to use random encounter battles as seen in Pokemon. Only once combat begins, Mega Man appears on a 6x3 grid with Mega Man controlling half the field and the enemies the other half. Then the combat becomes a hybrid action RPG / card battle system where the other main character, Lan, sends battle chips to Mega Man for the attacks he can use, only refilling his battle chips once a certain amount of time has passed. This combat system was incredibly successful, and was even used in later iterations of Mega Man, specifically Mega Man Star Force, where the same grid system was utilized except the camera was behind Mega Man instead of overhead. Multiman000 on Reddit stated, "There were hidden chips in most of the games that could only be gotten via battling a friend, though the game seems picky about how you get them, and, as far as I know, don't count towards the game's normal 100% completion, though those chips were included by default in the Wii U Virtual Console releases, but from what I can recall, there weren't too many event-exclusive battle chips." The series had 8 games including the spin-offs. The first game was released on Game Boy in 2001, launching the series. The second was called Mega Man Network Transmission, released on PlayStation 2 and GameCube. This game bore similar resemblance to the Game Boy game, except it was largely a side-scroller shooter. Surprisingly, this wasn't as popular as the previous game. The third game was Mega Man Battle Network 2, a continuation of the first Battle Network, connecting the stories as well. The fourth game was Rockman EXE WS. Released only in Japan, this was released on the Wonder Swan in 2003. This game was also a platformer because it seems like Capcom couldn't make up their minds about whether they wanted to diverge from their formula or stick with it. So they did both. The fifth game was Battle Network 3, White and Blue, also connecting to the main story of the Battle Network series, and there were 2 versions that had slight variations in what battle chips you could buy, along with other changes in gameplay. However, in Japan, it was marketed as Battle Network Black, which was a singular version with bug fixes, new areas, and optional bosses because Japan loves doing exclusives for some reason, even though there's an American audience over here that would love those games, but no. The 6th, 7th, and 8th game was Battle Network 4, 5, and 6, each one having multiple versions because if they planned to copy Pokemon, they might as well go all the way, so they did. Battle Network 4 had 2 versions, Red Sun and Blue Moon. Battle Network 5 was released on Game Boy Advance as Team Proto Man and Team Colonel, while a third variation was released on DS called Double Team, which was a combination of both of them. Fun fact, Battle Network 5 Team Colonel was my first Mega Man game. I was confused, but it was really awesome, actually. I bought it in Game Crazy, while that was still a thing. Battle Network 6 had 2 versions, Psybeast Gregar and Psybeast Falzar, ending the series in 2005 for Japan and 2006 for everywhere else. Delfino Durian stated, "May not count for much, but these games reminded me a lot of the Dot Hack games. Both take place in a real and virtual world, interacting with each other with custom characters / avatars. They can fight each other for fun, but then an evil force threatens both worlds that makes the main character train to match their strength." An anime adaptation was released with English dubbing called Mega Man NT Warrior. In total, there are 209 episodes, totaling 5 seasons, but only the first 2 seasons were dubbed in English.
Excellent. With our superior navies, World 3 will dominate the N1 Grand Prix.
We secret net agents must enter our own net navies to stop World 3.
Yes, sir. Wait, Todd and his Navi Proto Man.
I even have 2 DVDs of the show because I'm a freaking nerd. The anime was produced by Jebek and aired in Japan between 2002 and 2009. A manga series was released spanning 13 volumes from 2001 to 2006, alongside the video games. Both the anime and the manga diverge from the plot of the games drastically, so if you want the quote-unquote true story of the game, you need to play the games. There was also a Settlers of Catan based around Battle Network that was only for Japan in 2004. It's just a reskin of the game as far as I can tell. I would tell you more, but it was Japan exclusive and I can't find it online to buy. An English board game was created and sold that had miniatures of the characters and dice in order to play the game. The board game came with battle chips that could be used in other toy lines. An unboxing video by bob.exe was created and is linked in the description below. A trading card game was created by Decipher. The card game used screenshots of official artwork for the cards and ended in 2005, just before the ending of the games. The game lasted 3 sets: Power Up, Grand Prix, and Grave. A series of toys were released, including action figures, but there were also these really cool toys that were Japan exclusive called PETs. The PETs are the devices that carried Mega Man and the others in the game. You could actually buy them along with battle chips, where you play mini games that were really bad and not very exciting, and it was also really freaking loud and annoying. I tried playing it during class, and since I couldn't change the volume on the version I owned, my teacher told me to turn it off, otherwise she was going to confiscate it. There's videos all over YouTube about all the different versions of the PETs that I linked in the description below, so feel free to tell them that Negative Legend sent you. On the website, therockbandexezone.com, an interview with the developers of the Battle Network series revealed that Megaman Battle Network wasn't their first intention. The interview states,
"So it was a launch title then, despite being the first. It felt like it was pretty well polished."
Iguchi stated, but the first thing the team made was actually a horror game.
Huh? What do you mean?
Iguchi states, originally our starting point was, let's make something for the Game Boy Advance. We were making a game with a device that lets you put in your finger and measure your heart rate. Basically a game with a wearable device that links with the system. The theme was a game you can enjoy while your heart pounds. Matsuda states, I ended up going to Expo Land's haunted house for research. Iguchi says, before we realized it, it became EXE. Why? How did it happen again? Kaji says, if I recall right, the device ended up being difficult. Matsuda states, at the time, card games were popular, so we adopted that trend and decided to go with Capcom's strong point. Multiman000 on Reddit added, the reason for it kinda dipping off and not being around was mainly Capcom moving away from the Game Boy Advance to the DS. Battle Network 6 was the last entry and ended the story proper by making note of the main characters' lives when they became adults, with Star Force, the successor to the series, taking over with a new protagonist, though I believe sales weren't all that well to continue it like Battle Network pulled in, and they stopped with entries past the third game, with not a whole lot of merchandising either, at least not like Battle Network's. In the same interview on the rockbandexezone.com, they answered why the series ended.
So under what circumstances was the end decided?
Iguchi states, the EXE series had walked hand in hand with the Game Boy Advance. So before we made EXE 6, there were talks of, if the hardware changes, let's make a new Rockman. So the announcement of the DS served as our cue. There's a link to the entire interview in the description below if you want to indulge yourself on some really cool history. On my Discord, I asked everyone what they thought about the series, and this is what some of them said. Tsuna Star said, it was once on Jetix, but they removed it because the merch didn't sell that great. Kay said, I think it was a really solid direction for the Mega Man series to go, taking an RPG approach instead of a platforming one. It also has the distinction of being one of the only Mega Man sub-series to actually reach a conclusion. Manowing said, I remember Proto Man was the only thing cooler than Shadow the Hedgehog in my young mind. That's everything I have for this video. Of course, there's more surrounding this franchise that I didn't cover, so if you want to, feel free to inform everyone in the comments, and I'll be sure to pin the most enlightening one. Special shout out to my patrons for supporting this channel. A link to my Patreon is in the description if you want to help out this channel. Next month's video will be Dinosaur King. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay beautiful and keep playing.
Hey,
Cheer up. I think some groovy tunes may be just what the doctor ordered to snap us out of this nasty funk.